Hey, what's going on everyone? It's me, Juan Carlito Mendoza, and today we're going to take this sampling pad and we're going to make grooves like this. Back to a brand new drum lesson. So what I wanted to do today was I wanted to bring something a little bit different to the YouTube world. So we're gonna actually use this SPDSX sampling pad to kind of come up with some really cool trap grooves. So in the first part of the video, you're gonna hear a little bit about the SPDSX. However, if you already own one and you already know how to set it up, you can skip that part. If you don't have the SPDSX, you can totally use a different sample pad, or if you can't afford a sample pad, you can actually try to emulate the sounds from the sample pad onto your drum set. However, that's going to be a separate video, so make sure you subscribe for that one. However, enough talking, let's get to the explanations and then let's get to the meat and potatoes of the video. Alright guys, let's check it out.
Please hold for a very important message.
Before we get to the actual examples, I want to explain a couple things. The first thing is I'm going to have a kick trigger that's attached to my bass drum. Notice that kick trigger will be plugged into channels 1 and 2 of the trigger in. Now if you don't have a trigger that connects to the bass drum, that's totally okay. You can always use a standalone kick trigger. However, I just wanted to inform you that I was using a kick trigger while playing all these examples. Alright, so before we begin, I just want to explain the mapping of the SPDSX. Alright, so every pad is going to have a number. Notice it goes 1 through 9, and you'll also have a 0. The 0 is going to be the kick trigger, and that kick trigger is actually mounted on my bass drum. You're also going to see numbers that are on the actual PDF file or on the on-screen notation. Now that's kind of like a tab system so that you know which pads to hit, and on top of that I've actually provided the actual kit and sounds that I used on the SPDSX. If you actually own the SPDSX, all you have to do is download this file and then you'll have the same exact files, the settings and everything that I used on this video. However, if you don't own a SPDSX, that's totally okay. You can use any sounds that are authentic to the trap sound. Alright, so now that we've got that covered, now let's get to the examples. In this first example, we're going to be playing eighth notes on pad 6. In addition, we will play pad 4 on beat 3 of the first measure, and we'll also play it on the and of 1 and also on 3 of the second measure. Finally, notice the bass drum is going to be playing on beat 1 of the first bar and also on beat 2 of the second bar. Alright, let's hear how this sounds. In example 2, we're going to keep everything pretty much the same in the first bar, except that we're going to play 4E and. In the second bar, we're going to add a buzz on the and of 1, and notice you'll be playing that buzz on the left hand on pad 7 while your right hand is playing pad 4 at the same time. And in beat 4 and the and of 4, we're actually going to move the right hand to pad 3. Alright, let's hear how this sounds. In example 3, we're going to do the same exact thing that we did in example 2. However, we're going to change beat 4 of the second bar. And if you notice, on beat 4, we're going to have 4 triplet and we're going to play it on pad 9. All right, let's hear how this sounds. In example 4, we're going to do the same exact thing that we did in example 3. However, in the second measure on beat 4, we're going to change it up. So now we're going to play 4E, and then on the anda, we're going to have right, right, left, left, and those are going to be 30-second notes. Also, we're going to play on pad 5 for the first 2 notes, and the last 4 notes we're going to actually switch to pad 8. All right, let's hear how this sounds. In example 5, we're going to keep everything the same in the first measure. However, in the second measure, we're going to change things up a little bit. So if you notice, the right hand is going to be playing eighth notes the whole time in the second measure, but now we're going to get a little more syncopated with the bass drum. So let's take a look at the bass drum part in the second measure. So in the second measure, the bass drum is going to be playing on beat 2. It's also going to play on the and of 3, and also on the E of 4 and on the and of 4. Be careful and make sure that you keep the doubles open, especially on the E of 4 and the and of 4. All right, let's hear how this sounds. Now that we've learned some grooves, now we can actually start combining them to make longer phrases. So if you notice, the first half of this whole thing is going to be example 4. And if we look at the second half of this example, it's actually example 5. However, in this half, there's going to be no repeat, and this will result as a 4-bar groove. And in this final example, we're going to take elements of example 3 and elements of example 4, and we're going to start combining them. All right, let's hear what this last example sounds like.
Alright, so I hope you dug that drum lesson. For more lesson materials, you can check out CarlitoMendoza.com. And if you dig what you see on this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And I'm wishing you and your family a safe and wonderful day. See you next time.